There are some foods that you shouldn't have for breakfast because they literally skyrocket the risk of getting a stroke. Here are those 10 foods you need to know about. Coffee. For many people, having a cup of coffee in the morning isn't just part of their routine. It's something that they must do to truly wake up in the morning. Coffee is one of the essential parts of a routine that people follow so faithfully that they'll either make it themselves or go to a place like Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks to get the coffee that they crave. If you saw the amount of money that the average American coffee drinker spends on their elixir every year, you'd probably stay away from it just to save some dough. However, the real reason that you should stay away from coffee as a part of your breakfast is that it can lead you to having a higher risk of stroke. Now, to be clear here, this isn't a blanket statement that you need to avoid coffee at all costs. Instead, you need to be mindful of how much coffee you consume. There are some studies that say that drinking some coffee can be good for you, but when you consume massive amounts of it, say 6 cups or more a day, that's when things get bad. It can up your blood pressure, and certain coffees have been tied to high cholesterol levels and even heart disease. So if you need a cup or two to help you wake up in the morning, that's fine, but leave it at that cup or two, okay? Fried foods. Look, when it comes to breakfast, many people choose to have things that not only make them feel good, but taste good. After all, breakfast is the most important meal of the day, but it wouldn't be as meaningful to some people if they're eating something bland and stale, right? That's why many people will forego eating things that are healthy for breakfast and instead eat something fried. Whether it's simple things like hash browns or fried eggs, or something a bit more greasy like bacon or certain kinds of sausages, people love their fried foods. There are people who even specialize in cooking that kind of breakfast for people. Problem? Those foods are high in trans fats, along with other things like high calorie count. Eaten once in a while, you'll be fine for the most part. But when you eat it constantly, you'll gain weight, get a higher cholesterol level, and be much more at risk of a stroke. It might not be as delicious, but you'll want to partake in healthier food choices when the time comes for your next breakfast meal. Smoothies. At first, something like a smoothie might not ring an immediate alarm bell. After all, it's a smoothie. You're often told that things like this can be very healthy for you. Not to mention, it's an easy way to get what you need for the day without having to cook that much. If done properly, that is technically true. However, if you get a smoothie from certain places, you're not getting as many healthy items in it that you think. For example, many store-bought smoothie mixes have sweetened items, like fruit and other products that make it a much unhealthier breakfast meal than you imagined. If you enjoy too much of these, it can crash your blood sugar, and that will lead to more problems than just a stroke risk. If you do go and make a smoothie, ensure that it's full of natural and unsweetened products. It'll still taste good, and it'll be healthy to boot. Flavored yogurts. This is another one that you might be shocked to hear about, given that many places advertise yogurt as a great breakfast item. However, once again, context is key. This isn't about any old yogurt. It's about yogurt that's flavored. These kinds of yogurts are all the rage at stores, and people love to get ones that taste like their favorite fruit, but are enhanced to be even better. That's the catch though. They're enhanced by having far more sugar in them than you would expect. According to some, there's as much sugar in one of these flavored yogurts as there is in a candy bar. So eating a bunch of these won't make you healthy. It'll make you more susceptible to things like heart disease, not to mention the weight gain you'll have in the process. If you still wish to have yogurt as your go-to breakfast item, you have options. Specifically, you can get plain yogurt and add your own natural fruits to the mix to make it a healthier item. Fast food. Picture this. You wake up, you're hungry, but you're already behind in your routine and you need to get to work. What do? Well, for most people, they'll rush to the nearest fast food restaurant like McDonald's, Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, or something along those lines and attempt to get a nice, quick meal that they can enjoy without wasting too much time cooking anything. Admit it, we've all done it, and that's part of the joy of fast food. You get in and get out in a few minutes, and you can eat on the way to work. Heck, you can even get your coffee or an orange juice from them to boot. However, as you can easily guess, these are indeed foods that are bad for you. After all, many fast food chains, even while they're serving breakfast foods, are high in fat, oils, and other things that can clog up your body if you're not careful. Every once in a while, it's not that bad. But if you have it constantly, that's a quick way to the hospital. which has been proven in the past. It might take longer, but go for a more healthy home-cooked meal and you'll not only feel better, but arguably will have a more satisfying breakfast. Pancakes. Without a doubt, pancakes are considered one of the most classic kinds of breakfast food. They're served at hotels often, and they're the backbone of places like IHOP, and many people love cooking stacks of pancakes for their friends and family when it's time for breakfast, or when they serve a breakfast meal for dinner. However, as classic as it may be, it's also a trap of sorts. For example, when people make pancakes, they'll often use the most basic of white flours, but these are not the healthiest things out there. Then they'll cover the pancakes in various kinds of syrups that are often sugary to the max. The good news is, you can make healthy pancakes that have non-sugary syrups to go along with them. So try that path versus the more common one. White toast. Here's another classic breakfast item that everyone has heard of and likely eaten at one point or another. Many people get white bread for various things, including making these sandwiches they eat for lunch and dinner. For breakfast, they'll take that bread, put it in the toaster, cook it, and then likely put butter and jelly on it to have a nice, simple, crispy meal. However, white bread, and thus white toast, is the unhealthiest kind of bread or toast you can have, as it doesn't have the grains and fiber in it to make it a much healthier meal. Due to its makeup, you'll possibly find yourself being hungrier after the meal due to how it affects your blood sugar. Not to mention, you'll be craving energy. The better option is for you to get whole grain bread. It's full of what you need to have a healthier start to the day. It's true that these breads are often more expensive. It's a small price to pay for being healthy. Pastries. One of the reasons we love breakfast is because people have come up with incredibly creative sets of dishes that we can devour that make us crave more. Pastries are one of those kinds of foods that delivers that feeling. Whether it's the most basic of things like Pop-Tarts or having something more classy like a beautifully baked muffin, Danish, or something along those lines. They're a delight to eat, and we all want them more times than we'd probably admit. As you know at this point though, it's not a healthy thing, especially if you buy them from certain places. After all, things like Pop-Tarts and Danishes are loaded with sugars and other non-healthy items. Sure, it makes the product taste better, but it'll affect you in the long run. First, they'll make you gain weight faster, and they'll load up your body in other ways that make heart disease a real threat to you. Eat healthier breakfast snacks instead, and you'll literally live longer. Processed meats. Depending on where you're from and how you were raised, certain kinds of meats are a part of a hearty breakfast. From breakfast sausages to bacon and even having special deli meats to start your day has been a tradition in many ways for many people and cultures. However, as we've grown to know more about the foods we eat, we realize that having such meats is truly bad for your heart. Many of these meats have oils, sugars, and sodium content that could clog up your body like it was no challenge at all. The sodium alone will elevate your blood pressure, which could make it easier to invoke a stroke. Having things like fish, poultry, or even lean meats is a much better option for your morning meal. Sugary cereals. This is one that many younger viewers will scoff at just based on principle. When you're growing up, you're encouraged by many to try out all the best kinds of cereals to start your day off great. Fruit Loops, Trix, Lucky Charms, Cookie Crisp, Reese's Puffs, Fruity Pebbles, Cocoa Pebbles, etc. These are some cereals of our youth, and when we snack on them in our everyday lives, they make the morning seem that much better and make us feel like kids again. However, both as children and as adults, these cereals aren't the best thing for you in the most basic of ways. After all, some of these cereals are all about the sugar and chocolatey content you get, which means that they're not nutritional in any way. Even the ones that have fruit in their names are more of a sugary mash than anything else. Eating these kinds of cereals daily can lead to multiple issues, including a higher risk of heart disease and stroke. That doesn't mean that you can't have them every once in a while to treat yourself, but you need to be more mindful of what you eat the other days of the week. There are plenty of healthy cereals out there. Try mixing and matching when possible. Did you like this video? Join our herbal community by clicking subscribe. Check out Herbal Goodness products that will enhance your health even more in the first link in the description.